The verse of the day is Matthew 16:24 through 26, and it says, "Then Jesus said to his disciples, 'If any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross, and follow me. If you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it, but if you give up your life for my sake, you will save it. And what do you benefit if you gain the whole world but lose your own soul? Is anything worth more than your soul?'" Today's verse tells us how to keep going. Today's verse reminds us of what our daily fight is: giving up our own way. It clearly says, if you want to be my follower, you have to give up your own way. So every day, you and I have a choice. This is why it's possible to become lukewarm, because every day you have a choice. This is why people decide to leave the faith, because every day you have a choice. We get to choose God every day. In the midst of the hard, the good, the bad, the ugly, we keep choosing him regardless of what our external reality looks like, because we start to understand what he's doing in our internal reality, because he sets our soul free. Today's verse asks the question, what's more important than your soul? Nothing. Because you can have everything that the world has to offer, and if your soul is dying, if your soul is suffering, none of it matters. This is why you hear about billionaires being depressed, or those that make it to the top not being happy or satisfied. And you're like, well, why? Why does that not satisfy? Why is it that when we get what we've been hoping for, we then move on to wanting something more? Because when we get the thing we've been hoping for, it doesn't fulfill, and we keep wanting the bigger and better thing, because we think, oh, maybe it wasn't this that satisfied my soul, but maybe this will. This is why God tries to teach us how to be content in him alone before marriage, before we get the dream or get whatever it is that we're hoping for, because our true joy will never be found in people, places, or things. Our true joy will only be found in him. And if we root our identity and our joy in people, places, and things, we will always be disappointed. And our world will crumble when those things crumble and disappoint us, because it's just a matter of when, not if. People, places, and things will always disappoint us. They will never be perfect, and they might disappear, they might go away. But Jesus is always the same, yesterday, today, and forever. And so when we root our identity in him, he never fails. And he's the only one that can actually sustain our soul, because he created our soul. If you want to be a follower of Jesus, you have to give up your own way. You have to understand that your way is flawed, that your way might have a blind spot, because we might think something is right, but it might be entirely wrong. We have to have that heart posture that, God, I could be wrong. Humble me, God. Read my mail. Reveal to me where I can grow. We need to be okay with being called out, because we're never going to be always right. We're never going to do everything right. And it's when we're okay with being wrong that God does his best work, because wherever we're wrong is where he gets to shine. Wherever we're weak, he gets to make us strong. I think a really important part of this verse is, if any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your way, take up your cross, and follow me. When it comes to taking up our cross, it's our cross. All of our crosses are going to look different. Denying my flesh in certain ways is going to look different than you denying yours, because my history is different. My tendencies are different. My temptations might be different than yours. And this is why we have to follow conviction, because me dying to self is going to be different than you. And yes, there are foundational dying to self that all of us have to endure. All of us have to deny temptation. All of us have to try not to judge and forgive when we don't want to. But when it comes to certain things that aren't clear in here, like, for example, drinking, says not to be drunk. For example, there was a time in my life, I've shared how I used to be in the party scene, where I no longer partied, but I would enjoy drinking here and there. And I just felt this nudge that God wanted me to give it up, but I convinced myself it was fine because I didn't have an issue. I could have one drink and be done. And I just ignored this feeling that was like, you should give it up, because I thought, this might be a good testimony to help others feel like they're included, and I can maybe help show them Jesus, because I'm not making them feel weird for drinking, because I can have a drink too. And for 5 years, God was nudging at my heart. And giving up alcohol was the most freeing thing that's ever happened in my life. It's my favorite testimony now. And he revealed to me how much mental torment it was actually giving me. And so me taking up my cross and denying my way was giving up alcohol, was choosing to be sober. And that's because I have a past of having difficulty with drinking. We have to follow all of our individual conviction rather than following what everyone else is doing, because what everyone else is doing might not be what God is talking to you personally about. God might be trying to teach you how to be strong in your mind and how to not talk to yourself in a condemning nature. So maybe you have to stay away from people that love to self-deprecate. God might be speaking to you about dressing modestly because maybe in your past your motive was to be loved through what you wore. He might not be teaching someone else that might have the conviction to wear something else. But if you feel convicted in wearing something or not wearing something, that's something you have to listen to. That's something you have to deny yourself from and instead follow what you know to be what God is leading you to do. Super practically, today's verse looks like, oh, I'm struggling with self-judgment today. I have to choose God's way and not mine. Lord, fill me with love. God, help me to see myself the way you do. Help me to ignore every lie of the enemy. Lord, help me to embrace who I am and give myself love. Oh, I just was gossiping about a friend. God, help me to not do that anymore. Help me to just bite my tongue, to only speak in a loving and encouraging manner, because life and death is in the power of my tongue. Giving up our way looks like doing a lot of things that we don't feel like doing, which is why if you follow Jesus, you have to learn how to choose faith over your feelings. We hear that all the time, but it's so real, because if you allow your feelings to lead you, you're going to be deceived. You're not going to be following God's way. You're going to be following your way. Our feelings lie to us a lot. Something that I think is an interesting thought is self-control is a fruit of the Spirit, right? Do your feelings have control over you? Do your feelings lead you to do things instantly? Do you just follow them? Because that means you don't have self-control over your feelings. And if we don't have self-control, that's an area where we need to grow in our dependence on God, where we need to deny our flesh. Self-control is I think one of our hardest ones, in my opinion, because there are so many things that we allow to control us. Our phone, what we watch, how we talk, what we listen to, how we feel, what we feel like eating, our cravings. They lead us to do things and a lot of times control us. And so self-control and discipline is what is going to teach us how to deny our flesh and show us that we can deny it more than we think, which is why fasting is so important. We talked about this yesterday. Denying yourself. So think about your life. Okay, what does it look like for me to deny me today? Because wherever you can deny you more, that's hard for you, is again where God gets to shine in you. And this is an everyday choice. Every day we have to choose to follow the narrow path that's not always easy, but the most rewarding path we will ever walk down. Okay?